Have you ever stopped and really looked at your fear? Not just noticed it and quickly turned away. I mean, really sat with it. Watched it without judgment, without labeling it, without trying to fix it. Because that's what most of us do, right? We feel fear creeping in and the first thing we want to do is escape. Maybe we drown it out with work, or scroll through our phones until our eyes hurt. Maybe we reach for a drink or call a friend just to talk about anything but what's actually bothering us. And we convince ourselves that we're coping, that we're being strong. But are we? Or are we just running? Jiddu Krishnamurti once said that the problem is not the fear itself, but the way we try to escape it. We treat fear like a fire that needs to be smothered. But what if instead we turned around and faced it? Looked directly into it without moving away? What would happen? Let me tell you a story. A friend of mine, let's call him Jake, was terrified of being alone. Not just alone in a room, alone in life. The idea of not having a partner, not having someone to validate his worth, it haunted him. So he jumped from relationship to relationship, always needing someone by his side. He told himself he just loved love, but deep down, it was fear driving him. And here's the thing, the more he ran from that fear, the bigger it got. Every breakup crushed him, not because he lost love, but because he had to face himself. And he didn't want to. He had spent years building walls to keep fear out, but the fear wasn't outside. It was already living inside those walls with him. That's what Krishnamurti points to. Fear doesn't grow when we look at it. It grows when we avoid it, when we resist it, when we pretend it's not there. And the moment we stop running, something shifts. But let me be clear. Facing fear doesn't mean conquering it like some battle you need to win. It's not about being fearless. That word gets thrown around a lot. Be fearless. Crush your fears. But that's just another form of resistance, another disguise for running. What if instead of trying to be fearless, we tried to be honest? Honest about what we feel. Honest about the shaky hands, the racing heart, the pit in the stomach. Not judging it, just watching it. That kind of awareness changes everything. Krishnamurti said, "To observe without evaluating is the highest form of intelligence." That means watching your fear without calling it bad, without trying to explain it away or cover it up with positivity. Just sitting with it, like you would with an old friend who's going through a hard time. When we stop trying to change fear, it starts to change on its own. Because fear is not the enemy. Fear is just a signal. It's a message from deep within us, pointing to something we haven't looked at. Something that needs our attention, not our escape. Think about it like this. Imagine you're in a dark room and you think there's a monster in the corner. You panic, you want to get out. But what if, instead of running, you turned on the light? You might find there's no monster at all, just a pile of clothes. Or maybe there is something there, but it's smaller, more manageable than your mind made it out to be in the dark. That's what awareness does. It turns on the light. But here's the tough part. That light only comes on when you stop running, when you stop distracting yourself, when you stop numbing, when you stop pretending you're okay when you're not. I'm not saying this is easy. Sitting with fear can be one of the hardest things we ever do. It might bring up tears, or anger, or memories you thought you buried years ago. But in that rawness, there's healing. Because finally, you're facing the truth of what you feel. And truth has a funny way of setting us free, even when it's uncomfortable at first. Let's go back to Jake. After years of failed relationships, something broke. He decided not to date for a while. Not out of bitterness, but out of a desire to understand why he was so afraid of being alone. He didn't distract himself. He didn't chase anyone. He just sat with the discomfort, and it wasn't pretty. But in time, he started to realize that his fear wasn't about being unloved. It was about not loving himself, about not feeling enough. And from that place of clarity, everything began to shift. Not because he beat fear, but because he stopped trying to escape it. Jake's story isn't unique. We all have our version of it. Some of us fear rejection, so we never truly speak our minds. Others fear failure, so we never really try. We hold back, shrink ourselves, stay in the comfort zone. Not because it's where we want to be, but because it's where fear feels smaller, safer. But is that really living? See, the cost of running from fear isn't just internal. It shows up in every corner of our lives, in the dreams we never chase, the love we never allow in, the truth we never speak. All because there's that voice inside whispering, "What if it doesn't work?" Or, "What if I'm not enough?" And instead of turning toward that voice, we run faster. Krishnamurti believed that fear exists only in relationship to time and thought. We fear what might happen tomorrow, what could go wrong, what others might think. It's all based in the future or in the past, rarely in the actual present moment. Think about it. Right now, this very second, what are you afraid of? Not tomorrow, not next week, but this exact moment. Chances are, there's probably nothing truly threatening you right now, but your mind is racing, projecting, replaying. That's where fear lives, in our thoughts, not always in our reality. And so, Krishnamurti suggests something radical. Can you observe your fear without time, without letting it drag you into the future or the past? Can you look at it as it is, not as what it might become? It sounds strange at first, but try it. The next time fear shows up, don't chase it away. Don't try to distract yourself. Don't label it. Just sit. Breathe. Notice where it lives in your body. Is it in your chest, your stomach, your throat? Observe it like a scientist observing something for the first time. Be curious. The moment you do this, fear starts to lose its grip. Not because it disappears, but because you're no longer fueling it with resistance. You're not giving it power by running. You're just being with it. And here's something wild. Sometimes, when you stop running from fear, it transforms into something else. It turns into clarity, into action, into freedom. Because once you're no longer afraid of feeling fear, you become unstoppable. But we rarely get there. Why? Because society teaches us to always be strong, always be positive, always keep moving. There's almost a shame around fear, like it makes us weak, like it means we're broken. But fear is human. Every person you admire, every leader, every artist, every thinker, they've all felt fear. The difference is, some of them learned to sit with it, to understand it, to move through it, not away from it. And that's what this is about. It's not about pretending fear doesn't exist. It's about building a new relationship with it. A relationship that isn't based on escape. So what does that look like in real life? Maybe it means pausing when you feel anxious instead of reaching for your phone. Maybe it means journaling honestly about what scares you instead of burying it under positive vibes. Maybe it means having that uncomfortable conversation you've been avoiding, not because you're unafraid, but because you're tired of fear dictating your choices. That's what true strength looks like. Not pretending, but feeling. Not fighting fear, but befriending it. There's a kind of peace that comes when you stop running. A stillness. And in that stillness, you might hear something you've been missing. Your own voice, your real needs, your actual truth. Krishnamurti reminds us that freedom is not found in fighting fear, but in understanding it. And understanding only happens when we stop, breathe, and observe. So maybe the next time fear knocks on your door, don't run, don't hide, don't fight. Just open the door and say, "Okay, I see you. What do you have to teach me?" Because maybe, just maybe, fear isn't there to stop you. Maybe it's there to guide you. So let's come back to the beginning. This idea that fear itself isn't the problem. The real problem is how we react to it, how we immediately try to escape, numb, or ignore it. And when we live that way, constantly running, we never actually deal with what's underneath. We never actually grow. But here's the thing. We can do something different. We can choose to stop running, to sit still, to look fear in the face, not as an enemy, but as something we can learn from. That doesn't mean fear magically disappears. Life will still bring us challenges, risks, uncertainty. But we don't have to let fear control our every move. We don't have to let it make our decisions for us. We don't have to build a life around avoiding discomfort. Because when we do that, when we avoid fear at all costs, we also avoid everything on the other side of it. We avoid connection, honesty, vulnerability, creativity, growth. We trade freedom for familiarity. We choose the known, even if it's unfulfilling, just because it feels safer. Krishnamurti invites us to step into something radically different. He doesn't say be fearless, he says be aware. Be awake to your inner world. Notice your reactions. Watch how your mind moves. Because in that quiet awareness, without judgment or resistance, something begins to shift. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The fear might still be there, but you can finally see it, understand it, and eventually move through it. And once you realize you don't have to fight fear or run from it, it loses its grip. It stops being this terrifying shadow and starts becoming a mirror, one that reflects what you care about, what you long for, what parts of yourself still need healing. So maybe the most important question isn't, how do I get rid of my fear? Maybe the question is, what is this fear trying to show me? Because sometimes fear isn't a stop sign, it's a signal, a guide, a doorway to something deeper. And on the other side of that doorway, you might just find the version of yourself you've been chasing all along. So next time fear shows up, and it will, don't rush to silence it. Don't rush to fix it. Just pause, breathe, observe, and remind yourself, this is part of the journey. You're not broken for feeling fear. You're not weak for facing it. You're human, and you're growing. And that's something to be proud of.